Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the latest Newcastle United news live here on the Toon Review with me, Paul. Thank you very much for tuning in today. If you do enjoy today's show, please don't forget to give it the thumbs up. And of course, if you are new, please come and be part of the subscription base by hitting the subscribe button, free of charge to do so. Bottom right-hand corner, just click the logo, click subscribe, and come and be part of us as we race towards 27,000 subscribers. You can also join as a member if you would like to do that by hitting the join button just underneath myself. And of course, you can be, you can guarantee to get your comment read straight out by super chatting, which is at the bottom of the live comments. Just click the $sign, make a donation to the channel, and you are guaranteed to get your comment read straight out. So thank you very much for all that. Welcome, everybody. After a brilliant weekend for Newcastle United, everything is now turning back towards the Premier League, of course, and towards Manchester City. A huge game for us coming up at St James's Park. And hopefully we continue the good feel factor that the win over Sunderland gave us, because that is what we're in. Well, that's what realistically we want to happen. We want that good feeling to continue and really give Man City a run for the money. It's going to be a very, very difficult game. But as we know, confidence is high with the lads at the minute, and long may that continue after the win at Sunderland. But there is some interesting reports in the media have come out overnight and this morning, and one of them is what we're going to talk about first of all, which is Sean Longstaff. And is he up for sale, or are Newcastle United going to listen to offers for Sean Longstaff? Now, there is a reason for this. It's not just out of the blue. There is an FFP reason to this as well, which I will go through. It's very, very interesting, actually, because it makes a lot of sense, but it all depends on how much we could really get for Sean Longstaff going forward. I know he's out of form at the minute, and a lot of people have maybe said, well, is this the reason why he's being out of form? Because this is hanging over his head that Newcastle are prepared to listen to offers. But it's a very interesting one for me, because Sean Longstaff is homegrown. Now, what the report says is just over a weekend, and Newcastle are finding the January transfer window very difficult. Now, this can be because of, we know that Newcastle tax exists, etc., like that. And it will be a case of that. Newcastle will inquire about players, and clubs will come back and say, it's going to cost you X, Y, Z amount of money. And Newcastle United will just say, well, we either don't want to pay it, or the fact is we can't pay it because of FFP, and we'll get ourselves into serious trouble. I mean, people, Stephen says, makes no sense. We're not even close to breaching FFP yet. You don't know that, Stephen. And the fact is, when, it's all about what we've generated in income over the past few seasons, which puts us in the FFP window, if you like, because for spending, because we just don't have it. We obviously have the money, that there is no doubt about. One of the richest clubs in the world, richest owners. We are now in a position where we can't afford anybody, really. But because of FFP and because of the real restrictions on this, Newcastle want to play it right, because as we said in the past, there's a lot of issues if Newcastle United step over that FFP line. They will be waiting to hammer us, and we all know that. And unfortunately, we have to put up with that. And that's what's really, really frustrating for the club. Now, what the report said, the club does not have much money to spend, despite Eddie Howe's desire to add fresh faces to a squad that has been in need of a lift. Profit and sustainability rules are stifling Newcastle's desire to invest in new players, which is an issue that plenty of Premier League clubs are having to deal with. Now, obviously, a lot of people have got feelings about FFP, and angry feelings about FFP, that it sort of restricts us as a football club and other clubs lower down in the league as to what we can spend because of what we've had as income in the past. And it's really annoying. A lot of people have been saying that it's been set up for the Big Six. The Big Six can cope with all of this because of what they've had as income in the past few years. But it restricts the smaller teams and obviously us as well. I'm not saying a smaller team. What I mean by that is, over the years where the Big Six have had everything they've wanted, and the lower league teams just can't get a sniff. Dean Latta says, I think selling Sean makes sense, frees up FFP, and I think eventually these types of players will be sold to move into the future that the club wants to achieve. Evolution, not revolution. Yes, and that's what the report says. It's come from a journalist called Alan Nixon, And of course, Newcastle sold Maxi, didn't they, in order to bring in Livramento. That was his departure coincided with bringing Livramento in. And obviously we understand why for FFP. And look, I still think we got... we didn't get as much money for Maxi as what we should have. There's no doubt about that. But Newcastle United, according to Alan Nixon, are prepared to listen to offers for Sean Longstaff. Apparently, multiple clubs are monitoring the 26-year-old, who obviously came through the academy and was given his debut back when Rafa Benitez was manager. In terms of financial fair play, cashing in on Sean Longstaff would make sense, says the report. That is because he's a product of the club, and a departure would therefore represent pure profit. No money was spent on him to bring here. He joined as a kid and rose through the ranks. Now, that's where FFP comes in. And those that aren't quite sure of FFP, that is how it would work. Because Sean is homegrown, they make a 100% profit on the player. So 100% of those player sales will cover FFP. Not 90, not 80, not anything, because they've had no initial outlay on Sean Longstaff. Therefore, he would obviously be a 100% profit. And that's what Newcastle United at the minute are hampered by and are looking at in order to free up some FFP space. And I know it's annoying for everybody. It's annoying for all the fans. But, I mean, realistically, though, what would we actually get for Sean Longstaff? Given how he's playing at the minute, he's not firing all cylinders and hasn't done for a few games now. But is this hanging over his head? I mean, the report states there that multiple clubs are interested in him. Does that mean that, he already knows that and he knows that the clubs are just sniffing around? And is that distracting him from his performances on the pitch? We know that when certain players get their head turned, it is difficult for them to perform on the pitch. We've seen that multiple times in the past with Newcastle United players. Ken says, my thoughts on Longstaff, Paul. He passed his purple patch and so many players better than him in that position. 100% profit. Yes, cash in. Sorry if he goes, but he's not as good as the players we could bring in. Needs must. FFP is restraint of trade. Get DeMarco on it. I suppose someone in Division 2 might want him. Oh, that's harsh. Gary says, unfortunately, we won't sell anyone until the summer due to injuries. Sean Longstaff will bring 100% profit, but who do you bring in to fill the gap? Well, look, if we were to let him go in January, there would be options for Newcastle United to bring somebody in on loan, wouldn't there? But again, they're finding the loan market very hard at the minute, not just the transfer window, and not just, transfer deals. And that's where we are restricted. It's becoming a real annoyance now. And if that's from the fans, you can imagine how the owners are feeling when they know that they've got money there and they could buy anybody they wanted, but they can't because of the FFP restrictions. And I don't care what anybody says. This whole FFP malarkey was set up to really look after the big six. And I don't think anybody can deny that. It has been there for them. And when new clubs come through, like an Aston Villa, like a Newcastle, trying to bring in players is very difficult because they don't have the initial income over the past couple of years. And we can all look at Mike Ashley for that and say, right, you're a twat. We know he didn't spend anything. The revenue was terrible coming through the door because he gave everybody, really such low sponsorship deals. It is remarkable when you look at what he hasn't done for the football club. So we are massively restricted. And if we have to look at selling our homegrown players now in order to free up FFP, then that's the way it goes. And there's no time to stand on sentimentality saying, oh, well, Sean's a Geordie, he's a homegrown player. How dare we get rid of him? This is where we are now. Unfortunately for Newcastle United, this is the situation we are in now. If we want to make money, we have to look at 100% profits everywhere. And if Sean is one of those 100% profits, then so be it. It's a real shame because I think Sean Longstaff is a very, very good player when he's on his game. And he really does free up the options in midfield for Bruno to go further forward. Sean himself makes very good runs into the penalty area. But it hasn't happened for him lately. And, like Ken said, is that a purple patch for him? I don't know. And it's a shame if that's the case, because we know that Manchester United were massively interested in Sean Longstaff a while ago now. under Rafa, and then he got that awful injury, which kind of scuppered all plans for that. But since he's come back, he really struggled under Steve Bruce, but then again, who the hell didn't? Howe's come in and, Sean picked up again. But he's gone into this little lull again after being injured. It does take him time to get back to his best. So do we give him time to do that, or do we cash in now so we can actually go and buy some players? Chelsea seem to have no problems with FFP. No, they don't. But Chelsea have made millions through income in the past as well. We haven't got to forget that. Look, Chelsea will be looked at by the I think every club is looked at, aren't they, for the FFP anyway. But Chelsea will be one of those sides that are looked at as well. To say, have you bent the rules? Have you gone over that line? But they've had a massive income of money over the last few years. So maybe they are okay. It just seems mental how much money they've spent. But they do have huge revenue and huge income. And that's what covers them for FFP. For us, I think it's important that we just forget all the other teams and say, oh, look how much City is spending, or look how much Forest is spending, look how much, the likes of Chelsea is spending. We've got to forget that, because there's nothing we can do about that. We just have to get on with it. Whether we like it or not, we have to concentrate on our own football club, which is, of course, Newcastle. Whether we like it or not, it's there. Steven says we have to be realistic. Everyone not brought since the takeover is up for sale, maybe except Joelinton. We are looking for upgrades. That doesn't mean those that go are poor. Exactly. And I think that's the situation with the likes of with Sean, with Miggy, etc. We're now looking at the next level of player. If we want to become, and I've said this many, many times on here, if we want to become that elite football club, we are going to have to get the elite players in the door. And to get the elite players in the door means that the good players already at the club may have to move on in order to free up that space and in order to free up the money. So we do have a very, very difficult job on our hands, well, not us as fans, but the owners, to try and juggle it all around and stay within the FFP system. But it's an interesting report, because it 100% profit is something that will stand out to the owners and the financial people at Newcastle United. That is how we generate money. That is how we can get ourselves, somewhere near bringing in some better players. Kenzie says, I agree, Sean needs to go. Can't we do a switcheroo and send them Matty Longstaff instead? City, Chelsea and Villa all sell academy players, hence Lewis Hall. Yeah, what we don't get to see, and Irani Granny makes a brilliant point there, what we don't get to see is, Chelsea, etc., bringing players through the ranks at the academy level and selling them on. Whether they sell them on to lower league teams or teams abroad for like £200,000, £300,000, £400,000, £500,000. We never get to see that. We only get to see the big deals. So the money they're making in the academy, etc., will all come through to the football club as income. It's all income and revenue generated, which covers the FFP. Now, we are not in a fit situation to do that, because our academy, A, isn't big enough, and B, isn't good enough. We still need to get that academy going, bring some good players through, and like a Chelsea or like a team like that, who bring academy players through and have lots of them. We used to laugh at Chelsea, a few seasons ago, when they had all those younger players out on loan, etc. But they're generating money for loan fees and things like that, and that's where it all boils down to. It's a lot of money. Barry the Beast says, hi all, couldn't watch some of the streams recently as I'm currently on holiday. Great win on Saturday. Yeah, it was superb. Yeah, Fabian Scher has extended his contract. I will be doing a video about that shortly, so that'll be coming out later on the channel. So that is great news. Barry says, personally, I'd sell Longstaff. Ask yourself, is he crucial to the team? No more no than we sell. If we can't get 30 million, I think 30 million's a lot of money for Longstaff, to be honest. Would we get 30 million for Longstaff? Would we really? I think we're clutching at straws for 30 million. I was thinking along 20, but, I may be wrong. Geordie Rick says, last season we struggled without Longstaff. Give him time to get his form back. Value will go up, and then sell Miggy first. Would people be happy to ground sponsorship and sell players? I think the ground sponsorship's been mentioned many times, Craig, in order to sort of free some funds up and get some money in the door. I wouldn't be opposed to it. I mean, look, we had that situation with Mike Ashley, didn't he, when he turned it into the sports direct arena, which was just, that just was a piss take to the fans. That was just a swift up yours from Mike Ashley to the fans and said, I'm in charge. I will do what the hell I want at this football club. And but when you look at sponsorships, you've got the Etihad at Manchester, the Emirates at Arsenal, things like that. There is money to be made through, a naming rights of the stadium. So I think Newcastle United will certainly be looking at that. But I think what Newcastle owners want to do is they want to incorporate St James's Park into that name. So whatever happens with this one naming rights of the stadium, St James's Park will be in the name. So I think that's a good idea. Also, hasn't Sean just had a baby? Am I incorrect? So this might be also distracting him as well as the thought of Newcastle United wanting to. No, his girlfriend's just announced she's pregnant. The baby's not due till later on in the year. So I don't see that as a big distraction to him on the pitch at all. Rani Granny says the bigger problem is the academy is very poor. Absolutely. And look, I think, Dan Ashworth certainly has made an effort to improve the academy and start the ball rolling with it. He's brought some, in the summer just gone, in 2023 summer, they brought some very, very good youngsters into the academy, but not enough. There's still a lot of work to do in the academy. And I think it's certainly something that the club will be looking at, because the academy is where it all starts. You get some gems coming through the academy. You also get players to loan out and sell on and make money. And that's what we need to do. As cutthroat as that sounds, it generally is that. We need to make money. We know there's no sentimentality in football anymore. And there hasn't been for a long time. So Sean Longstaff, although he's a Geordie, he's homegrown, times have changed in football now where, it's cutthroat business. We need the money. And, Sean would offer 100% profit, as the report says. Jay Devlin says, how are smaller clubs able to go out and spend more than us? It's not making any sense and shouldn't be hand-waved by as FFP. Look, everybody is looked into for FFP. So whether we like it or not, all the clubs that are involved in the Premier League, etc., are going to be scrutinised for FFP. I don't know how the smaller clubs do it, but it's all based on income and expenditure. And if they've got the income to cover FFP, then we can't complain. You have to remember that over the last 15 years, Newcastle United has been dreadfully, dreadfully run as a football club and as a business. It was a cash cow to Mike Ashley. Anything Newcastle United made was all for Mike Ashley. It wasn't, hardly anything was put back into the club as revenue. So when you look at it that way, we've had hardly anything come into this club over his reign. Anything at all. But other clubs will have had, income, whether it be just little sources of income here and there, and their expenditure hasn't been too big. That will free up FFP for them. But because we've been run by absolute joker for 15 years who just wanted to make money for himself, not for the football club, didn't even look at it that way. It was a cash cow for him. It was a cash cow for Mike Ashley, and that's the way it's ended up. And nothing will ever change that. That's part of history now. The new owners did come in and said it would be a slow process, especially with this side of things, to start generating the income. So it is unfortunate, but I'm sure if Sean starts playing well again, but is he going to be allowed that time? Because if Newcastle United can sort of sell Sean and it frees up a bit of FFP, then we can maybe look at it and think, right, we can bring two players in, one on loan and one permanent signing. So it would look like a good deal in that way. But I don't know. I like Sean, and I think he's got a lot to offer. But he's just, we've got Tonali coming back next season, of course. So would that mean that we'd wait till the summer to sell Sean? I don't know. Chipper says, personally, if we get Phillips, when Tonali returns, Anderson and Willock is fit, is Longstaff ahead of them? I don't think he is, Chippers, no. And we did state this, Alex made a good point on the show last night. I think Eddie's having to play Sean a lot more than he probably would have had we not had these injuries or suspensions. Tonali, for me, gets ahead of Sean Longstaff. Willock, definitely. Anderson, I'm not sure about. I think he would have probably been in the same boat as Sean Longstaff with the amount of games played, etc. But it is disappointing because I'm sure we all want Sean to do well, don't we? As Geordies, we know how much the club means to him. So I'm not going to sit and rake him here. I'm just saying that this is what the report says about making money. And we just have to go with that. Now, one other transfer story that caught my eye this morning was the links to Newcastle with Jordan Henderson. Now, I don't know what to make of this, guys. Honestly, I think it's Jordan Henderson apparently wants to come back to the Premier League. And he's not the only one. These players that jumped ship and went to the Saudi League clearly for the money are now wanting to come back to the Premier League. We've seen it with a couple of other players who've gone out there, and it's not exactly the green grass of home, if you like. They're making a fortune, but crowds have dropped over there. It's not the same. It's not the same passion that it was a few months ago when it all kicked off, and the big names were going over there, the big manager names were going over there. It's not the same anymore. And Newcastle United are linked with Jordan Henderson. Now, look, he's a Sunderland fan. We know that. He's Sunderland through and through. I don't think there's a chance in hell of signing. Now, some media reports are saying that Eddie Howe has actually already spoken to Jordan Henderson about the possibility of coming in. I can't see it. And I don't think the Newcastle fans would accept it. Jordan Henderson, he's a big Sunderland fan. And he's played for Liverpool for, 10 years now, before he moved to Saudi. I just can't see it, guys. Honestly, I don't know whether it may be clickbait, but when I look at clickbait, I think, right, is there just one report on it? Is there just one or two little reports from unknown sources and saying about various things? And then I'll class that as clickbait. But this is quite a few media outlets reporting this, that Eddie Howe has spoken to Jordan Henderson. And to be honest, it absolutely scares the shit out of me, because I don't think Henderson is Premier League anymore. I think he's too old, as Irani Granny's just said there. He made the decision to go to Saudi, and he has to live with that now. He got a lot of flack, of course, because what he did for the various communities in the country, and he's upset a lot of those by jumping ship to Saudi. And he said he was going to try and teach the Saudis how to, about what our beliefs are and what is right and wrong. And he hasn't done it over there, apparently. So he's wanting to come back. I just don't know. I don't know whether a loan for Henderson. I just don't think the Newcastle United fans would take well to Jordan Henderson playing in black and white. And I just can't see Henderson himself. Kath says, I'm not sure I trust Henderson. Mackham Scouser, not a single chance. He knew his Premier League time was done. We're better than that. Well, exactly. This is my point. These players that we are being linked with, are they better than what we've already got? And I've said this before, when you look at Newcastle United in the transfer window, surely we have to now start bringing players in that are better than we've already got at the football club. And it worries me that that's not the avenue that we seem to be going down with the players that we're linked with. Because Henderson is just, he's nowhere near. I'd take Longstaff over Henderson all day long. So what's the point of listening to offers for Henderson for Longstaff when we're going to bring somebody like Henderson in? I mean, yes, he's experienced. He's got some valuable experience, but so is Sean. So if we were going to do that, it'd be a pointless exercise for me. And I don't think the Newcastle fans would take kindly to it. I really don't. Certainly I don't. I wouldn't like to see Henderson in at all. But, these crazy rumors that don't stop, guys, that just keep coming in. And it worries me deeply that we're not looking at players that are better than what we've already got there. Yes, we definitely need to build the squad up again. It's been cut down by injuries. We know that. But why? Why would we be looking for me, over-the-hill players like Jordan Henderson? Because I don't see the point of that. I don't see it, and I don't want it, to be honest. Again, Ivan Toney links are in the press this morning. Again, I'm not sure that Ivan Toney would come back to Newcastle, and the money we'd have to pay. We're complaining that we don't have a lot of FFP money at the minute for transfers and bringing players in. How the hell are we going to afford Ivan Toney? Because he wouldn't be cheap. And we're monitoring a Barcelona defender as well. So just to let you know that we're monitoring Andreas Christensen, who of course played at Chelsea. Hasn't had a lot of games for Barcelona because of the squad size situation over there. But again, do we need a centre back right now? And this is what I mean, guys. Do we really need a centre back coming in? Why are we looking at a centre back? I know there's going to be a lot of press reports linking us with thousands of players again in this transfer window, but it's not what the fans want to see. That the players that have been linked are not what the fans want to see. And look, there's no smoke without fire, guys. We are linked with certain players, and we definitely, I just hope that these reports of speaking to Henderson aren't true, because I don't see what Jordan Henderson would bring to the club above what Sean Longstaff would. And the club are apparently looking to sell Longstaff to make 100% profit. It doesn't make any sense to me. And I don't think it makes any sense to you guys out there. Irani Granny says we have to prepare for all the contracts ending in the summer. Let's give the owners some credit. They know Henderson would go down like a lead balloon with a fan base. So if that's true, Davey, why are the media really pressing that Eddie has spoken to Henderson? Now, it could be just a brief conversation. I don't know. Keith says centre-back is the last thing we need at the moment. There is plenty of smoke without fire, Paul. Indeed, there is. But centre-back is not a position that I find that we really need to desperately cover in January. Certainly in the summer, look at it that way, fine, no problem at all. But we don't need one now. Botman's fit again, Share's there, Lascelles is there, Dan Burn can play there, Kraft can play there, Dummett can play there. We are very, very well covered until certainly the summer at centre-back. I don't see a need. I think the positions we need desperately to improve on at the moment is left-back, right side forward, and a striker, and a number 6. I mean, we've got 4 positions there. They're not going to fill all those 4 positions this month. They won't bring 4 players in. They've already said multiple times it was struggling. And when you look at Calvin Phillips, the £5 million loan fee, we're apparently struggling to pay that. So, I mean, if we're not prepared to pay the £5 million loan fee for Phillips, where the hell are we in this transfer window? We're January the 8th now. The month will fly by, guys. We know it does. And I'd be very, very disappointed if we didn't bring anybody in. I mean, I think most of the Newcastle fan base would be absolutely gutted if we brought nobody in. Guys, over 700 watching. Thank you very much for your viewership this morning. Really do appreciate that on a Monday morning. Please do subscribe if you're new to the channel, bottom right-hand corner. And don't forget to hit those like buttons, guys, so we can continue to be up there in the search results on YouTube. JT Toon says, I'd keep Longstaff over bringing in ex-Macam dinosaurs. Thank you very much. He can stay in Saudi. I'm set for a poor January transfer window again due to a combination of FFP and an inflated market. I think that's what worries everybody. I think, with the inflated market and FFP, that's what makes it very, very tough for anybody at Newcastle United to make any deals. We saw it in the documentary as well. Amanda, very, very frustrated when we were trying to get Gordon in and we were looking at other players. It was there for all to see that she was very, very frustrated and annoyed. I think anger came into it as well. And I think that's going to be the same. Ian says it's the media, Paul. I bet Eddie hasn't spoken to Henderson. Yeah, I mean, look, we can only go off what the media is saying. And that's why I'm bringing it to the fore in these shows. Because we can discuss. I'm not saying for 1 second Henderson's coming through the door. I'm not saying for 1 second Longstaff's going out the door. It's just media reports that I like to talk about with you guys in these shows. Rather than make a video up of just telling you all the rumors, I like to discuss it with you, see what your opinions are. That's why I wanted to do these live shows on the morning as well, because I find them intriguing to get your feelings on this as well. And, the morning shows are getting more and more popular, hence the 700 and odd watching this morning, as opposed to 300 and odd when we first started doing them. So I think they're really taking off. Any update on Hamza Chowdhury? I haven't heard anything, Irani. I think it'll go down to the last day of that one. Craig says, take no notice, apparently. We have Phillips through the door, but according to Ben Jacobs, we haven't even talked to him. Look, I don't think there's any doubt that the club have Calvin Phillips in mind, right? There's no doubt. And I don't know what Ben Jacobs is on saying we haven't spoken to him, because, the many respected journalists have all said that we have spoken to him, all right? Ben Jacobs can be a bit up and down with his reporting. I don't have anything against Ben Jacobs. Let him report what he wants, but I do believe we have. The Phillips through the door, there's a lot of in the nose out there, guys. Really, there is a lot of in the nose, and you have to be very careful what you read on social media, especially. I think everybody knows who the in the know accounts are, who claim to be in the know and who are very rarely right about any sort of transfers. They come crawling out from under the rocks, and there you go. They will say something and it gets the fans riled up and everything like that, ready to go again, and it never happens. Players coming for medicals, etc. It's all a load of bollocks, guys. You've got to realize that a lot of people out there are certainly on social media trying to get likes and followers and things like that by quoting these stupid things, and then they never come to fruition ever. So take it with a pinch of salt. Barth says you might not do anything business until all the players are back first. Guy Fox says, why didn't we have loan signings lined up for the 1st of January? Our injury list was well known. I mean, look, what I will say to that, Guy, is that I hope that Newcastle United have been working on deals behind the scenes leading up to the transfer window opening. If we haven't, I'd be very disappointed, because I think that's something that the likes of Dan Ashworth and his staff should have done. They should have been targeting players, interested in players, seeing what kind of deals we can do for players once the window opens. There was lots of reports coming in saying that Calvin Phillips would sign as soon as the window opened. That hasn't happened. I think the player himself is keeping his options open at the minute until he decides on what deal is best for him. It's not just about the clubs that are coming in for him. Calvin Phillips will want to know and will want first-team football. He's got to, he's in the England setup at the minute, whether you think that's a good thing or not. He's there. And he wants to be playing regular football leading up to the championships in the summer. So there's a lot to go on with that. But I think Calvin Phillips will be a very, very good signing for us. I honestly do. I think we need somebody who likes to get stuck in, like Calvin Phillips, to play in that number 6, to win the ball, lay it off to the likes of Bruno, Joe Linton, etc., to get us on the attack. Just do the simple things. And I believe Calvin Phillips can do those simple things very, very well. But again, the future will dictate that. Can't believe PIF are going to stagnate in this transfer window. Look, they want to do everything they can. They want to bring in all these players. They want to bring in the big names, but they just can't because of the restrictions. They've got money to burn. Let's not forget that. They have money to burn. And at the moment, they can't burn that money because of the restrictions on them. So it is extremely disappointing. I know it is, but what can we do? We've got a new member, Peter Merrifield. Thank you for signing up, Peter. I think that's a renewal, but thank you again for your support. Much appreciated, Peter. Tom says the club is desperate needs a lift, and a top signing can do that, like Trips and Bruno and the time. Get someone like Rafinha. I'd like to know how is willing to manage top players too. Well, Rafinha's been. I've seen a link to Rafinha this morning, but not from a good source. So again, he's there. He's not having a great time in Barcelona. I think he'd be fabulous. I think he'd be a brilliant sign on the right-hand side. But unfortunately, I don't think that is going to happen, which is disappointing. But look, it's been very interesting conversation this morning, guys. I certainly, I'm intrigued to see what we do in the transfer window. I'd be very disappointed if nothing happens. But, we'll keep you up to date on here with the morning news and the nighttime shows. Tonight, we have a transfer show. So we'll be taking a more deep dive view into some of the players that are linked. So that will be at 7 o'clock tonight. Please don't forget to tune into that. That should be a great, great show. We'll look at some of the players linked and see what they would bring to the squad should they sign. But that is it for the early morning show, guys. thank you so much for your support this morning. Been fantastic. Please don't forget to hit the thumbs up button before you leave the show. And as well, if you're watching this on a rerun, please do hit the thumbs up. If you're watching on a rerun, please subscribe if you haven't done so already. We are on the way to 27,000 subscribers. Live shows every day. Loads coming up on the Toon Review. But don't forget to hit the notification bell, which will, of course, let you know when we schedule the live shows or we upload any videos. There will be one coming out a little bit later regarding Fabian Schär and his contract agreement. We'll be talking about that as well tonight in the show. But thank you very much for watching, guys. It's been an absolute pleasure. And we'll see you at 7 o'clock. Enjoy the rest of your day. Take care.